Hello, I am Xarkun, and this is World of Warships Legends. As you may know, if you've watched my channel for a while, I am, in fact, a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, and my scientific discovery includes the discovery of potatoes. So, I thought I would take my scientific prowess to World of Warships Legends and conduct a little bit of a test, because yesterday, in a video on this ship, the Tier 7 Italian battleship Vittorio Veneto, I made a claim. I said that the secondaries of the Veneto, or the Veneto, whatever it's called, are the, quote, best secondaries in the game. And I received a little bit of feedback on this claim. And, I expect there are more people out there who share this sentiment. The feedback was that the secondaries on the Veneto are not, in fact, the best in the game. So I decided to conduct a scientific test, a very rigorous scientific test, to show you that they are. And what I did was I took the Veneto and the Brandenburg out into co-op battles against bots and didn't shoot my main guns at all. I did this exactly once for both ships, so that makes, a very large pool of data to collect, data from. It's all very scientific. So you can see here, in this situation, in the Veneto, we're pushing into the middle of many, many bots here. And under normal circumstances, we would, of course, be sunk. But these are bots, so they aren't exactly what you would call intelligent. And thus, we are able to sit here and switch our secondary priority target every now and then as needed. Also engage the secondary enhancement consumable, and just let our secondaries rain down on a number of cruisers and even some battleships here. You can see that as we've gone thus far, we've achieved 80 hits, we've done 37,000 damage, and do I want to spoil it for you? No, I don't think I do. Actually, yes, I do. This is more damage than I'm going to do at all in the test with the Brandenburg. Let me give you a couple of stats on the Vittorio's theoretical DPM for its secondaries. Keep in mind this is just theoretical. So we have 12 90mm secondary guns with a 2K SAP alpha, right? Okay, and then we've got 12 152mm secondary guns with a 3.8K SAP alpha. The 90mm fire every 2.4 seconds. The 152s fire every 3.4 seconds. And if my calculations are correct, then the theoretical DPM, that is the DPM of all 12 90mm and all 12 152mm firing and doing maximum damage on a target. Obviously that's not possible because not all 12 of them can fire at the same time unless they're firing at two separate targets, but you get the idea. The theoretical SAP DPM for the 90mm is 600,000, which, isn't all that crazy. For example, the Colbert's AP DPM, at least, I think, is somewhere close to 800,000, okay? Well, so 600,000, it's nothing to shake a stick at, although it is very significant and higher than any DPM on the Brandenburg secondaries, but we'll get into that in a second. The 12 152mm secondaries, again with a 3.8K alpha strike on this ship, have a theoretical DPM of 855,000. That's just a little bit, 100,000 and some change short of a million potential DPM with these secondaries, okay? So they are ridiculous. And here's the key with this DPM, okay? Obviously, none of that potential DPM is going to be actualized because the majority of the shells, let's face it, are going to miss. And of the shells that do hit the target, not all of them are going to penetrate. But with SAP, more of them are going to penetrate than with the HE, because the Brandenburg has 150 millimeter secondaries at its largest size, right? And they only shoot HE. But that HE is subject to the 1/6 penetration rule, meaning it can only penetrate, 24, 25 millimeters of armor? Somewhere in that range, within 1 millimeter, okay? The 90 millimeter secondaries on this ship, as I understand it, can penetrate 32. So there you go. That's to say nothing of the 152s. They pen more, they do more damage. 83,000 damage with 340 hits. Now let's see how we do with the Brandenburg. And we're going to find ourselves in a similar situation on a different map. This time we're in Haven, which has a nice ring of islands in it, sort of like the previous map whose name escapes me. Can't remember it. And we should keep in mind as we're pushing in toward these bots here that the Brandenburg has an advantage over the Veneto in terms of its secondary armament, and that is range. These secondaries range out toward, like 11.1, 11.2 kilometers, maybe 11 even, I'm not exactly sure. They're shooting now though, and that Mogami is 10 kilometers away. Meanwhile, the Veneto's secondaries only have a range of 7.8, so these secondaries can start firing sooner than the Veneto's could, and they can hit targets a lot further away. Now, the Brandenburg has 20 105 millimeter secondaries with a 1200 HE alpha, and these fire every 2.7 seconds, which the potential HE DPM then is 533,000. Lower than the Veneto's 90 millimeter secondaries, and then the 12 150 millimeter secondaries on the Brandenburg, which have a 1700 HE alpha and fire every 6 seconds, have a theoretical HE DPM of 204k, which is kind of pathetic. But to compensate for this, they do have a fire chance. So not only can they do penetration damage with the high explosive, albeit not as much of it as the Veneto can do with its sap penetrations, they also start fires, and those deal damage over time, so they can supplement the penetration damage of the high explosive, right? And I guess really the question here is, does that matter all that much in terms of comparing the two? What's better, secondaries that can do HE penetration and set fires, thus dealing damage over time, or sap secondaries with raw penetration that simply do damage pretty much every time they hit, at least relative to the high explosive shells, which can't pen armor nearly as thick as the sap shells can? And, well, you see we're approaching, maybe 140, 150 secondary battery hits at this point. We've lit 6 fires, and we are up to 21,134 damage. I don't know, seems quite a bit lower than the Veneto's damage record in the last game. And keep in mind, I am using my sort of ultimate fire build here on the Brandenburg. I've got Justinian Lions, one of the Warhammer commanders, as an inspiration, and every time you use the heal on Lions, it increases the fire chance of your secondaries by like an absurd amount, close to, I think, 30%, and I'm pretty sure we might have, well, I don't know, but I think we procced that skill during the game, and we ended up with 24,000 damage compared to 83,000 with the Veneto. That's what, like, roughly a quarter of what we did in the Brandenburg compared to the Veneto. We did a quarter of the damage that the Veneto did with the Brandenburg, so yeah, I think those results, which are totally scientific, speak for themselves. Let me know what you think in the comments, of course. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.